2, 1.
Okay. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to my channel. I have my guest here, TrutherTalk.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry. Virstyne from TrutherTalk. Sorry.
okay, my bad. Virstyne for TrutherTalk. She has her own YouTube channel. I'll make sure to put the link.
Virstyne Henry. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Virstyne Henry from TrutherTalk, and I'll make sure to put down the link. You can check her out. She talks about a lot of different things. One thing she specializes in is like vaccines. She's anti-vax, something I will ask about a little bit later on. But she stays down here in the South with me in Texas, pretty close to the border. So I'll definitely be talking to her about immigration and whatnot. So thank you very much, Virstine, for joining me.
Yeah,
I
you're
really appreciate
welcome.
it. We've been trying to do this for quite a while, and somehow, some way, something always comes up. But now here we are.
I
So
know, finally.
finally. Okay, so Virstine, I want to talk to you tonight about a number of subjects from politics, policy, culture, and pretty much what we're facing down here in Texas. Um, so pretty much my first question is, what do you think about the political atmosphere um, going on right here, right now in America? Do you think that things are just kind of getting a little bit out of control? People should calm down. Do you think that there are people, really just going out of their way to instigate uh, and sow up chaos? Do you think there may be like a better way to go around it? I mean, what's your take on it? Ever since President Trump's become, well, the president.
Well, yeah, I have a lot to say. I have a lot of thoughts in my head about that. I mean, I live in Austin, so Austin is very leftist, and I have my mom is like my parents had me late, so my parents are like in their mid 70s, right? And I've been telling my mom, because she's in California, I'm originally from LA, that I've never seen anything like this in my life as far as a political divide. And I try and give my mom the respect because she's older, she's been through some more stuff than me, but she'll just say, oh, no, it's always been like this or whatever. But I don't think so. I've never like seen the division and the hatred and the like. I joke, but I believe it's real too. I keep saying it's like black magic mind control
Hmm.
because it seems like people have been um so isolated in a way that they can't even meet in the middle, and it's turned family members against each other. Like my brother and I aren't on good terms because of this. And it's like, from my point of view, I think he's wrong, and I'm willing to be like, hey, I don't agree with you. But my brother is just like taking it to the extreme, like thinks I'm mentally ill, like is very, emotional about it, like calling my mom up and crying and telling her that he's worried about me. And my mom is just like, chill out, whatever, But I think that I don't know, like in Austin, I finally found some friends that I feel comfortable hanging out with, but I'm usually a friendly person and I can make friends fast, but because of the political climate, I haven't really felt comfortable, like in Austin, as far as making friends. Like it's one of the kind of the loneliest, not so much anymore, but the past few years has kind of been one of the loneliest times in my life, honestly, because I would think I would make friends, and then as soon as I found out my views, people would just ditch me. And I'm not like, trying to play the violins and be like, "Woe is me!" Like I'm a grown up and I can, handle myself. But it's just shocking that people wouldn't even, we click on so many other levels, but they wouldn't even like ask me why I felt the way I felt or talk to me about it. They just assume. And me being naive at the time, like, okay, for instance, I I made friends with this guy, and he was gay. He's cool, and he's a massage therapist. And we were cool, and he would always just be like, talking shit about Trump, and You know, and I didn't care. I was just like, okay, I guess he hates Trump. I guess we won't be talking politics, you know. And then I
Yeah.
was like, well, maybe if he, you know, we click on so many other levels. If he got to see, um, you know, if he got to know me, and if he found out my point of view, then maybe he'll be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I know Virstyne's not like a racist, homophobic, you know, sexist, like
Hmm.
skinhead. Then
Right.
maybe, you know, maybe he would open up and be like, oh, okay. But it just, when he found out, it went completely the other way. He's just like, oh, I can't be friends with you. I can't, oh. You know, I'm like, craziness, you know? And this has happened quite a few times, not just with him, but I can at least think of like one, two, three, four, five, six, maybe six other people.
Hmm.
And then I'm a singer songwriter, so I was actually taking I was in a singing club or singing, you know, group where we'd sing, and I um I would just hear them talk, and I'm really outspoken, so it's just been interesting too for me to play the role of somebody that is quiet and listens to what everybody has to say. This is the first time I really had to do this in my life. Usually, I'm the one that's outspoken. Or if somebody said something, like, well, I don't agree, but I don't know. It's put me in a position, especially when I was working for Lyft too. You know, I would get all these leftists that would just come in the car and see me as a black woman and just unload on me and just automatically think that I agree with them. And you know, by the time the election happened, I was kind of like in the middle. Like, I didn't vote for Trump. I damn sure didn't vote for Hillary, but I didn't hate Trump. But I was just, I'm over you know, politics. Politicians can, you know, not really thinking that politicians are going to change the world, and you know, just
Right.
very cynical and resigned about the whole voting process. And and I would drive around, and you know, I'm being in Texas, to the rich areas, and I would see all these Beto signs.
Mm.
Mostly in the rich areas, not in the poor areas. Maybe
Very
a few,
interesting.
huh?
I said that's very interesting.
Yeah, you know, and I was just like, how are these people, like, you know, talking about open borders and, you know, but they're not affected, they're not living in neighborhoods where the illegal immigrants come to, you know? And
Right.
I'm in a neighborhood as we speak where illegal immigrants are. Now, I don't hate people because they're illegal immigrants. I don't carry that vitriol, you know, toward them. But the situation is just getting so out of control that the poor areas are becoming crowded, you know. I brought this up. Nobody seems to talk about this, but I hear so many people complain about the traffic. But I bet you if we didn't have a lot of illegal immigrants, we wouldn't have a lot of traffic, you
Yeah.
know.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and my mom lives in North Hills, which is in the Valley area, and there are a lot of illegal immigrants. We can't even find parking there, you know. And what happens in a lot of the poor areas too, you have like a one-bedroom apartment, and there will be a lot of illegal immigrants that are living in that one-bedroom apartment. So say there's like the rent's $900 for the one-bedroom apartment. You have 10 illegal immigrants living there. They're all paying like $100 a month, and the
Hmm.
property people know they can get that money, much money or more for or a place, and the property value is going to go up. That's
Wow.
what There's different reasons why the property value goes up, but you know that's happening in LA, that's happening here in Texas, and Texas is still by far cheaper than LA. LA is just getting ridiculous. San Francisco is just astronomically ridiculous. Um, you know, I was a teacher. I taught for LAUSD for 8 years before I taught overseas. I mean, I have a long teaching career, but just my first part when I started teaching, and I speak Spanish, but you know, I would be in a situation where you know, because we had a lot of legal immigrants that were coming over in my class, and you know, like I said, I have a lot of, you know, I don't have any hate. I have this actually have a lot of love because some of those the immigrants, illegal immigrants, were my kids that I taught. So I don't like hate them, you know what I mean? But it did put a strain on the system, and I saw that they would, you know, they're coming here and getting free education, they're getting free lunches, you know, through the school system. That's one way that they're draining the system, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and even for somebody that speaks Spanish, it's hard to kind of go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and give everybody your full attention. I mean, the whole like the flaws in the school system is a whole nother conversation, but um, add to that an influx of illegal immigrants that don't speak language, and you have all kinds of miscommunication problems, and you have a lot of and then you can't, having to communicate with parents, and it's just, it's so like mind-boggling and so overwhelming
Yeah.
if you're a poor person. But these rich ass people, I'm sorry, I'm trying to trying to curse on other
We
people's
might have
channels.
kids looking at this, so let's keep it friendly.
Sorry,
But yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
These rich people that are, in these neighborhoods none of this affects them. Yet they want to, act like they're all virtue. And it's funny because they act like they care about poor people, but they don't care about the poor people of this country. So,
Right.
like,
Just everybody else in the world. Just everybody else in the world comes before Americans. Yeah.
yeah, and I've been really thinking a lot about the situation, and I remember kind of being in that mindset a little bit, not hardcore, not so hardcore to the point where if somebody did give me a point of view, I would just totally shut them out and not care. But I this is where like globalism comes in, right? Because I've been thinking a lot about like how we've had past administrations to do bad stuff in other countries, but that's
Hmm.
not our fault. That's not the American people's fault. We were just as manipulated into being, going in and fighting these wars. We've been poor people manipulated into killing other poor people for globalist resources and for their gain. And now they have us at each other's throats. But you have people that, in the rich neighborhoods with the Beto signs that, you know, are very detached. Like, I don't think they're bad people, but they're just very detached. And then the arrogance comes in because a lot of them are highly educated, quote unquote, from the school system, and which I feel now, just being a teacher, having gone through having a college degree, having to teach in the school system, is a form of indoctrination. And it seems like the highly educated people are kind of like the worst people because they've been so brainwashed and indoctrinated that you can't tell them anything, and they honestly think that they're better than you.
No, yeah, I get it completely. And see, the thing is, a lot of people they don't look at this. Um, they don't look at the situation as a marathon. They kind of look at it like the 100-yard dash is a quick race, but it's not really that like that. When it comes to persuading other people and building bridges and networking, and working, let's say, across the table, reaching out to others, it's more of a marathon. So it's a gradual process, as we've seen with the Trump administration, that many people who were, specifically, anti-Trump, um, because let's face it, he's in my opinion, he's a uniter in chief, and he's very flexible man. He's willing to work with other people, like, you know,
Yeah.
but it's been a gradual process all this time around. So, but just to respond back on a lot of things that you said, and first off, okay, you're way too beautiful. I met you in person. You're a very nice chick. Very cool vibes. You shouldn't be feeling like lonely or left out or have a hard time making friends just because
I need
the
friends too, though.
no, no,
I
I
can't just
know.
look at myself in the mirror and be like, I need people.
Yeah,
I'm a people person. I mean, I'm kind of a homebody. I work a lot, and I do like chill at my house. But I love people too. So
yeah,
if I can't
and
go
I
out and
totally,
do stuff, sorry, I
yeah,
didn't mean it.
you're fine. I love people too. But I think you're a little bit nicer than me. I have a shorter patience with people, and I'm working on that right now. But I completely understand where you're coming from, because see, I live here in Houston, and it's kind of like the same way, like with Austin, but I think Austin is a lot worse off. Um, just
Mhm.
just to, yeah, yeah, it is. just to get to the nitty gritty of it, it's a misinformation campaign.
Yeah.
These people are intentionally lying. They're
Yes.
intentionally deflecting from the problems. They're intentionally focusing on everything that doesn't matter, while ignoring stuff that matters. And I'm talking about the
Right.
mainstream media in general, the fake
Yeah.
news
Yeah.
and the like. And it's giving this rise to it's like it's building walls in people's mind. How
Yeah.
you talk about the border wall and immigration wall. It's like building up walls in people's minds to where they're no longer willing to connect with others or see the other side of
Yeah.
the fence, so to speak. So
Pun
I
intended.
completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because another thing you were addressing, this disconnect between like the really rich people and your average working Joe, the average working family, or even poor neighborhoods. There's this disconnect because a lot of these people have been indoctrinated, or they've been living in a certain bubble or
Hmm.
echo chamber their whole lives. They ain't been out here on the streets. They
And they
ain't
haven't been
lived.
challenged. Their opinions
Yeah,
haven't been challenged. And they're
right.
used to getting patted on the back. They're like spoiled kids, but adults.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I totally get it. Some people they make it from rags to riches and they bust their ass. And they literally throw their whole lives away just to make their dream come true and all that.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of people who are more, a lot richer than me and you, and it's kind of like a form of class warfare. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you got many people who are elite, or let's say high up in the food chain, that have ill intentions, but then you have this other audience that is just been so deeply indoctrinated, misinformed, that's kind of where we are now.
Yeah.
but
And I
but
don't think I just want to make a distinction saying just because I'm not one of these people too that believes because you're rich you're like a bad person.
mhm.
Because I think there are a lot of people too, and it's so funny. Like I look at people, they're always trying to be like, "Oh, Trump's a billionaire and he's greedy," and I'm like, but the same people that are saying this stuff, they're rich too, you know. And the thing that really ticks me off is that I have friends all over the world, outside the country, and they see this stuff and they're buying into this, and they think that we're just being held hostage by Trump, which is, that he's a dictator and everything. But they're getting what they're getting is the information from the other rich people who are, who control the media. These people are rich too. Like you're not hearing from the working class American. The average working class American isn't getting a voice, especially outside the country.
Exactly.
People, and like it's just been frustrating how much control these people. If I know that there's a child around, I can like hold my tongue way better. So, that these people like have, and it's been put into plan. Like, have you ever heard of Charlotte Iserby?
She sounds familiar, but
I
yeah, tell
should
me.
send you. I should send you. This will like blow your mind. But basically, she was talking about. This is in the '80s, where she's a teacher and she has this interview and she's talking about how the elites are planning to take over America through the school system, and she talks about how they're going to do it.
Hmm.
There are people that have known this, like what's going on, or what's happening now. This has been put into plan, and there are whistleblowers who have come out before all of this happened. You have her, you have people like Yuri Bezmenov. Have you heard that guy?
Yeah.
How to Brainwash a Nation. He talks about that when he was in, because the same thing that's happening here has happened in Russia, right? And where the country was divided, you had a civil war, and yada yada. And then you have Unabomber Manifesto. What's his face? Kaczynski. He wrote his manifesto in '95, and he talks about how the leftist psychology and how they're going to use leftists. I'm looking over because I'm like, let me see if I can take you with me without disrupting the interview. Oh, the mic is here. Let me see. I don't have it. Oh, I want to read something. Could you give me like 1 second? I'm
Sure,
going to
go
just
ahead.
jump over. Okay. Jump over. I lost my earring. No. Somewhere over here. Okay. Anyway. Where's my earring? I love my earrings. Okay. Let me read this to you. This is going to blow your mind. So this is written in 95. And if you guys can ever... You can find this on the internet. You should be able to find this manifesto easily on the internet. Oh, there it is. And it's called The Industrial Society and Its Future. I have to say that, you know, my disclaimer is I don't agree with blowing people up. Okay, I don't agree with what he did, allegedly. Some people believe that he was a group of people, or he was framed. I haven't gone that far into the situation of the matter about what he did, but supposedly this manifesto that he wrote, he's talking about how, and he knows he's an insider because he was a genius that got accepted into Harvard, and they actually experimented on him. And what they did was they found out, or they used him as part of an experiment to try to understand how to break down people's belief systems and psychologies and kind of like brainwash them. If that makes sense. So. He's talking about how they're going to use this, the psychology of modern, and he calls it leftism. I don't know if you can see that. The psychology of modern leftism. This is the manifesto, right? So down here, he talks about feelings of inferiority. We mean not only inferiority feelings in the strict sense, but a whole spectrum of related traits: low self-esteem, feelings of powerlessness, depressive tendencies, defeatism, guilt, self-hatred, right? And leftists tend to hate anything that has an image of being strong and successful. They hate America. They hate Western civilization. They hate white males. They hate rationality. The reason that leftists give for hating the West clearly do not correspond with their real motives. They say they hate the West because it's warlike, imperialistic, sexist, ethnocentric, and so forth. This is written in 95.
Wow, what a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knew. But see, the indoctrination largely has taken part through the media and through the education system.
Absolutely.
Right? And these are people, that, you know, society has, I kind of think it's out of balance. Because I think there is a healthy form of respect that you should garner for people who have had a certain amount of focus on a subject, right? Like who have spent a lot of time studying something. But I think that we've gone to the point where we've gotten lazy, and we just rely on people to tell us stuff instead of looking at information ourselves. And B, we have this appeal to authority complex where we worship, idolize people that are celebrities, that are doctors, that have, you know, degrees, to the point where we've given our own power away. And there, you know, I would say that part of what's happening here is also our responsibility, in the sense that we've given our power away to them. You know, not only our you know, mental power, our emotional power, our spiritual power. We've given them the power, and even with the tech companies and all these people, they're like, oh, they're rich, but we buy their products. You know what I mean? We're giving them our energy, our money. They're rich because of us. So they need us.
They started from here, even though they started here in America.
Yeah.
And they're the ones trying to manipulate the election. Like I saw something with Ted Cruz. It was from Breitbart, but basically, somebody who had worked in the tech field. I think he was like a former Google worker or something.
Oh yeah.
He found out that the election between Trump and Hillary Clinton, Google, I guess, manipulated anywhere between 2.5 million to like over 11 million votes.
What? This is recently?
Yeah, this is very recently. You can check it out on my Twitter.
Is it the Project Veritas? No, because I saw the Project.
No, it's not Project Veritas. It's actually, I believe, a congressional hearing or a Senate hearing.
Okay, you have to text that to me. I have not seen that. Have you seen the Project Veritas whistleblower?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen the Project Veritas and a lot of other things that are going on, and I'm really happy to see that people are starting to come out, especially in the tech field, because
Yeah.
my father he's worked in the tech field for much of his life, and I got to see firsthand this whole like leftist indoctrination type of thing that's been going on, and it's the thing is between like the manifesto, the education system, the Silicon Valley and the like, this it's like this coordinated, in my opinion, it's become so obvious that it's like this coordinated campaign to mislead people and really just control the fate of this country, or
Yeah.
even if we'll have a future or not have a future at all. So I'm not surprised. With the manifesto, what you're talking about, there are things that I've been looking into. Like one thing I looked into, I've taken a lot of notes, but one thing I've looked into is what's called noetic science.
Oh,
And
I have not looked into that. I'm sorry.
yeah, I
But you
told you
took.
about that a while
I
with
know. I know. I
and I
know.
told you it was gonna blow your mind away when you
I
actually
did. I'll get to it. This is so much to know. There's so much to
No,
know.
don't feel bad because I haven't even read everything. When you bought me that book, I still haven't read everything in that book.
I
So
know. I know. You know what? You'll get to it though. You'll get to it. There's so much. There's just so much to know because we've been lied to about so much. You gotta. I feel like I've gone back to school again by like reading a lot of the stuff and talking to people, and I
exactly,
feel like I'm just
and and
my paradigm has shifted. I've gone like
and see that you just said it right there. It's like we're going back to school again. It's like we're re-educating ourselves from everything. That there was a system in place that just led to these mass delusions. And it's all that we can do. We cannot rely so much on people who have a certain position or a job title, or just because they have some money in their pocket, and now we must idolize them like they're gods, and
yeah.
and follow their every wish and whim.
The money in their pockets that we gave them because we bought their stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it may be in the entertainment industry.
Collectively.
We watched your movie or we listened to your music, or it may be the tech products. We're using your software, your technology. There's this lack of appreciation of ordinary folks like me and you that are giving them all this energy and all this power. So like it's insane. It's absolutely insane, and things should change at this point. And this is why I'm happy for the Trump administration. This is why I am a member of the Presidential Advisory Board, a member of the Trump 2020 campaign, because I seen that this guy wasn't just completely establishment cookie cutter. I see that he was a disruptor, but at the same time a uniter in chief. And people are just kind of waking up to the games. America has so much capability, to just excel in everything that we do. This is what makes this nation so great, when us having all these freedoms, from the
Freedoms in
concept.
addition to and people said this, oh, this is built on a nation of immigrants, and it is, but legal immigrants. I mean,
Right, right,
well, I shouldn't say it is built on a nation of illegal immigrants too, legal and illegal. But I think that we have to have order. We have to have laws in order for us to have a functioning society and have and able. We can take people in, and I think we are successful because we have very diverse people from different diverse backgrounds and stuff. Not physically. I mean, physically, yeah, but the physicality has nothing really to do with it. You just have you might have somebody come from different countries or different cultures, but what makes it really diverse is their insight, their perspective, their experience, their knowledge that they have to contribute to growing,
right,
right?
right. I
Because
agree.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
because if there's a black person, or say somebody from India comes here, and they have perspective about to innovate in this country based on their life experience, and they're adding positivity. But then there's another Indian person that hates America and that comes here. Like, we don't want that dude. You know what I mean? Like, we
Yeah,
don't, like, go
I,
back. you
Yeah,
know?
you're gonna break us down. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
you can have your thing over there. You know, if you hate us so much, and you can build yourself up, succeed, all that stuff. You know, but you don't have to tear down our entire country behind it. So number one, I saw on the what was it, Steve Hilton, the Next Revolution. I watch Fox News. It was weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. I forget her name, but it's this woman who used to work for the Bernie Sanders campaign,
Hmm.
African American woman, and she actually said something that nobody else has said from yeah, what I remember. But long story short, that the Lady of Liberty, that Statue of Liberty, she has chains on her feet, and basically, to make it very simple, that Statue of Liberty was a celebration of freeing the slaves. So why isn't anybody talking about this? Is what
Hmm.
I'm thinking. Why isn't anybody mentioning that sheer fact? But at the same time,
Well,
all they say is the immigrants, the immigrants, the immigrants, the immigrants. From my perspective, being a person of color and an African descendant of slaves, I find that extremely disrespectful. Okay,
yeah, it is.
because we
It
have
is.
hundreds and hundreds of years, you
But
know. But at the same time, you can mention both things as opposed to just mentioning one thing and then leaving the other group, the African American group, completely out. You see what I'm saying?
well, I think that it is disrespectful, but at the same time, you have to understand the system of control. So they, they kind of leave these little nuggets around to, for their game of divide and conquer, and so they can trigger people and turn people against each other. Same reason why I didn't know about other forms of slavery and
Mm,
other types of holocausts that happened until I was an adult, because
right.
when as a lot of Americans would testify, and I've talked to other my friends about this, there are a lot of when you're in school, you're just taught that black people are the only ones that were enslaved, and Jewish people are the only people that went through the Holocaust, and there were no other atrocities that went on like that. Those are the two most horrible things that happened in history, and that it was Anglo Americans that did all this, and you know. But the bigger picture is every race, every ethnic group has either gone through some form of slavery or enslaved others. And if you really want to get that bigger picture, people would find, or if you give people that bigger picture, they would find their commonalities, and they would understand that it is a it is a making of the human condition,
Right.
and the circumstances in which people are put in that makes it makes those situations happen. Like, I honestly have been reevaluating and thinking a lot about like World War II and the Nazis, and just thinking about anybody could be a Nazi. Even sometimes when I think about the hatred that I have for Antifa, I'm like, damn, I hate Antifa. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to you know, I get
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, like, so depending on the circumstances. But I think that they want us to have this mindset that we're kind of limited. We're limited by our genetics, and certain races or people with certain physical features have a tendency to be this way than others, as opposed to looking at the circumstances of that group and what happened and why they're doing the things that they're doing, you know.
Mhm.
So
Exactly. And
that's how they keep the divide and conquer, and they keep the emotional, because that's, when I was reading the thing about the leftists, the feelings of inferiority, right? Like, low self-esteem, powerlessness, and a lot of these people, defeatism, guilt, self-hatred, right? So a lot of these what I've noticed too, the psychology, because I think that there is a certain psychology, um, to right and left, right? And of course, there's in between, but to one extreme or the other. And on the left, it is, a lot of these people are very insecure. A lot of these people,
oh, you notice.
most of these people are very insecure. They have, feelings of defeatism, self-hatred. I've even testified my brother is very, very insecure, very smart, very handsome. He has a lot of things going for him, but I don't know. Like, I think that they kind of hijack those feelings, and they dig in, and figure a way to wrap people around their finger and just dig at them, dig at them, dig at them. You know, like I was.
Yeah.
I was talking to my I call him a sensei, my jiu-jitsu teacher, um, the other day, and he's half Native American. He was saying that like he's worked on the reservations, and he was saying that he sees what's going on in the black community because they've been doing that to Native Americans for years. They're using the same kind of mind games, right, to keep them under control. And they have to because there's way more of us than there are of them. So that's the only thing. It's like, you know about the Willie Lynch? Have you heard about the Willie Lynch letter?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like some people. So I'm gonna tell the audience in case they don't know, but I don't know if it's like if it was a real letter or if it's a real speech, or there's controversy whether it was a real speech and he really said it, or if it was just like an analogy or like a parable or something, right? But if you read it, it's supposedly to was intended to keep African American slaves fighting against each other, but it could be applicable to anybody in society. And it's basically what happened was he's supposedly, the story goes, he was a slave consultant, and he would go around because slavery was, like it or hate it or whatever, it's terrible, but it was also a business. So, they had slave consultants that would go around telling people how to manage their slaves, right, to make their slavery, like their slaves more, more effective and stuff. So this guy goes and he's talking about turn the light skins against the dark skinned slaves, turn the tall against the short, turn the men against the women, turn the young against the old, turn the whatever. Any difference that you have, any extreme that you have, you turn it against each other, right? And now what's happening too right now is like the left and the right, now we're turned against each other. But there is one side that is more at fault, and it creates a resentment, or from one side.
They get away with it. They constantly get away with it.
Yeah.
And in fact, they're rewarded.
Yeah.
They're rewarded with it. They get book deals. They get contracts. They can make a new series on Netflix, whatever. And it's insane because the other side gets targeted, and you say one wrong word, your entire career is over. People are trying to boycott you.
Yeah.
And then people are trying to let's say, what happened in the ICE detention facility, they're going to take down the American flag and burn it up and raise up another flag, or they're going to try to firebomb you or kill
Plus,
you.
I feel like you have to be like extra good, right? You have to be extra good being a person that's not a leftist. You have to keep your composure
you have
more.
to be a god. It's the only way you're going to make it.
You know what I mean? Because if you step out of line, you do one wrong thing, they'll be all over you. Like I was looking, did you see that Daily Caller excerpt the other day where they had the protesters, the leftist protesters? What were they protesting? I forgot. Oh, ICE or something, right?
Yeah.
And they just littered all over the city. They just left their signs and all their trash there.
Yeah.
And then,
exactly. No,
and I was just like, and then he was going around asking people. He was like, "What do you think about it?" And it just disgusted me so much because there were people that like were sticking up for them and saying, "Oh, well, they're just spreading their message." I'm like, "Yeah, through litter, through just leaving their trash, But if it was somebody on the right, like we would never hear the end of it. Oh, they're disgusting. Oh, they're messing up the environment. Oh, they're terrible people. This is Trump's rhetoric, blah 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 blah. Like we would not been able to get. If that was us, and I frankly, I tried to have a more center-like position, but the left has become so extreme that I feel like my only community, my only safe haven is to go more right because exactly. I mean,
they push it so much so that it's like you have to choose a side, like,
for survival. And this is I also think, but like, people say that there's racism and stuff, but I think that really it's like a defense mechanism,
Well, there's two.
Sometimes it's ignorance too, but a lot of times it's that.
There's a double-edged sword to a lot of things that people say, and a lot of people don't take that into account. In reference to the Willie Lynch letter, yeah, this, what you were describing was basically, it's kind of like a process, like order will add chaos, but it's like, instead of bringing order out of chaos, you're just literally profiting. Your entire business model is profiting out of stirring as much crap, sowing as much chaos as you possibly can. The more chaos that you sow, the more money that you make.
Well,
And
yeah, I think you're right, but I think there's also another layer to that because I think that they do want to create like they want a war.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
want a
and
war, and then we have a war. We have some physical stuff going down. The upper people are gonna try and come in. I don't know if they'll be successful or not. They're gonna try and create order out of chaos. So for me, I think it's a spiritual war. I think it's a psychological and spiritual war. It's not like
yep,
prophets only go so far, but they want control. They're losing their control. They're losing their powers. They wanted social media, and in a lot of ways, social media does have us under a spell, and it has us. You know, a lot of people. You know, we're dependent on it. We're addicted to it. But on the other hand, we've also been able to use this technology against them, and they weren't planning on that. They weren't
exactly.
planning on us, like people like us, connecting and talking. They weren't planning on people with using their phone cameras to record stuff and upload it to YouTube and making going viral. They weren't planning on, stuff like that.
Exactly,
So,
and see, we beat them in that marathon. Like I said, they had their site was very short sighted. They thought, we were just doing a dash, but we beat them in that marathon. And when it's all said and done, yeah, it is about balance. People should spend less time on their screens, and I'm guilty of it too.
oh yeah, we
Uh,
all are. We all.
but yeah, people should connect more.
We're doing it now.
Shake hands, go meet up with
Yeah.
people, do stuff. But at the same time, social media has been an extremely important tool in pushing this message, just pro America, even spiritual, like you said, Christian, Judeo Christian message that is just outright being assaulted,
Yeah.
with this opposing ideologies that they push. And I think we're succeeding, and I think
Well, yeah, we are in a sense because that's why they're having to cheat.
exactly, yeah,
We're not. We're
exactly.
playing
If
fair.
we
They're
have,
not. We're playing
if
fair
you,
because
yeah,
we've
if we have
never called for anybody to be censored. They're censoring us.
exactly, and they're hoping to crush the spirits of people. They're hoping to destroy their livelihoods, destroy their families,
Yeah.
destroy their careers,
Well,
you know.
but this is why when I was talking about like this is one of the loneliest. I mean, I'm coming out of that now, but for the last couple of years, it's been one of the loneliest times in my life in the sense where, people we need other people to thrive and survive, and they know and they want to keep you isolated. And they want to think that you're the only person. And I think with the Walk Away campaign that Brandon Straka did, I thought that was so ingenious and so beautiful because I like it too because it doesn't play on racial politics like Turning Point, right? But it's more inclusive of everybody to come out, and he
Mhm.
was really smart to have a platform so people can like come out and like express their feelings because I think he knew whether wittingly or unwittingly that people felt like they were alone. Like he couldn't have been the only person that felt like this. And once you see other people stepping out and speaking out, you don't feel alone. You know?
Exactly, and it brings a community together, and
Yeah.
that's really what everybody wants, and that's what we're currently experiencing in America. We're experiencing all these different communities that were, in my opinion, wedges have been driven in between them, especially during the Obama administration, because we saw how the mainstream media fawned over anything and everything Obama did or said. He took a step out of the White House, and everybody's falling over themselves. Oh, Obama! Oh my God, we love you,
Did you
Obama.
vote for him both times?
No, no,
D-
no, 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 no.
Neither
Uh,
time?
no, I think first time I voted for him,
Yeah, me
but
too.
after a while, it was like, okay, I see the game you're playing.
Why did
I
you
see.
vote for him?
Well, I mean, I guess identity politics somewhat they succeeded with me, and I was like, hey, first black president,
Hell
this would be
yeah,
a
I did too. I was like,
good.
yeah.
He'll
But
actually have a chance to make us look good, and then when the end of the 8 years came up, I was like, damn, you made black people look bad, bro. You made us
But you
look
know
real
what?
bad.
And it's so funny now. I look back on my mindset at the time, and I'm like, oh, it was so silly. It was so silly. It was just a silly way of thinking. I feel much more liberated and free just concentrating on the person themselves, no matter what they look like, and just hoping that they do a good job.
Well,
But
he capitalized on what's been happening with with the black community for decades and decades and decades. This goes back with LBJ, the welfare policies. Get rid of the fathers. Whatever. We'll give you a house. We'll give you that white picket fence. This has been happening with what is it, the prison bill that was passed with Bill Clinton and
yeah, yeah,
Joe Biden, who
yeah,
bragged about working with segregationalists. I mean, that's not something you want to brag about being a white male. I'm sorry, bro. That's not very smart.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well,
and
I don't think he's gonna like be a competitor, so I'm not worried about him.
no,
Creepy
I
Joe.
think
Well,
his candidacy is dead. But they capitalized on what's been happening with the black community, in which, like, I specifically, I complain about it, but I don't like how the mainstream media puts out all these negative stereotypes with the black community, like, and then everybody looks at us like we're crazy or we're violent or we're all just
yeah.
nasty ass whores. Oops, I'm sorry, I cursed.
Oh,
Uh,
you cursed!
I
You
did.
cursed! You did worse than me.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm
uh,
just kidding. Well, you know what though? Did you see that Disneyland fight?
yeah, I saw that, and it shocked me because it was like, wow, like, this is what happens in the hood, like, all the time, and nobody tried to control it or stop it. Where was security? Where were the cops? It just let that go on,
Oh
and
man, the worst part was that little baby running around going yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
like,
was
what about
like,
the baby? Like,
don't kick the baby. I thought they were gonna like fall over the baby. You know what I mean? And knock the little baby over. I was like, oh my god. And I was watching it. I was like, oh man. Like because who texted and told me about was Magnificent.
yeah,
And he was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your family. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, I think you texted the wrong person. He was like, no. And then I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And
right.
then, and then, um, and then, but you know what? Everybody thinks that about their race. Like
Well,
I was talking to my, huh?
I agree, but see,
Everybody thinks that, like if something bad goes down and it's your race, that's in the forefront of doing some bad stuff, and you're like, damn man, that just makes us look so bad. But I think you really just have to learn to separate yourself and be like, well, really, because it just shows the attachment that we have to placing meaning on the way that we look, and how the system of control is so deep, you know what I mean?
well, this
So
is why media is so powerful. They hold the crown of
yeah.
society, and everybody knows it. Like, people knew this before Trump, they're gonna know this after Trump. Media holds the crown of society, and yeah, I agree. Every race, they have their thing, and yeah, they're like, what the hell?
Well, let me just add to that though, because I was talking to one of my friends the other day. I was on his channel because he started a channel and we were talking. He's white, and he was like, man, like he's like, white people. He goes, they do the most messed up stuff. Like they'll kill you, and then like have sex with the body. I'm like, yeah, you guys did like. I was like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I think we all kind of do that. We're all kind of. I remember. I was so wrong too, but one of my other friends, he's white, and it was like oh my god, you might be too young, but do you remember the DC sniper? It was a DC, I think it was the DC sniper. Okay, so anyway, back in the day, there was snipers, like people. It's kind now that you kind of look back on it, it's kind of funny just because of the hysteria, but like there was just sniper that was running rapid, and people were scared. You go out and you just get shot, and nobody knew like where they were or where it's coming from. So there was like this fear in America around. It was like a DC area where there's the sniping people. So my one of my best friends, we were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, that's your people. 35-year-old white male, that's their profile. And he turned out to be a black dude.
Wow.
And we're like, dang, no, but when I said that, he was like, yeah, you're right. Because black people were like, yeah, we might like, like rape you and steal your purse, but we're not gonna like kill you and eat you and like wear your skin on our face. But I also think it has to do, like, I was talking about somebody this today. It has to do with the circumstances, because a lot of those people, though, if you do deeper digging, that do like the serial killing and all that crazy stuff, it's linked back to like government programs, experimentation, and stuff like that, right? As far as the black community, there are a lot of drugs in the inner cities. There's gangs, and when people are in gangs, people don't think about, well, drugs make you crazy. You're just like, it's like being possessed. You do crazy stuff when you're on drugs. A, B, you're in like, when you're in an inner city community where there are lots of gangs, they're not in the mindset of thinking about killing their own race. They're thinking about killing that dude that shot their brother. You know what I mean? It's a war situation that's just, like a vicious cycle, right?
But still, they're killing their own race off. They're literally.
I know, but and from there, yes, they are. It is. You're right.
Yeah.
But other people outside of that situation kind of look at it more than that. But the people that are in the situation, they're not thinking about it like that. They're thinking about the the situation at hand. It's just basically like a war, right? And then you go to Asia, and they're like, Koreans hate Japanese, like Chinese hate Japanese, like, they all have their beef with each other because of wars or circumstances and stuff. So I don't think
Can I ask
that.
you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna want to move on from this real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But that's fine. I want to ask. So, do you believe, or do you not believe, that with, for example, white people, that they are literally as nitpicky as the black community when it comes to the amount of melanin in your skin? Do you really think that white people can turn around and hate each other because somebody might be white or somebody might be red or somebody might have a tan, as much as the black community will literally go there because you might be mixed, you might be light skinned, albino, or you might be dark? Because from my experience in my life, I've seen
Black people.
that happen really bad in the black community.
Yeah, it's really bad. Yeah. But I think if you were to go maybe like to other parts of Europe and other parts where they're white people, but they're different kinds of white people, they might have that same vitriol and stuff toward each other, the hierarchy and stuff.
That makes
sense. It depends on, because I've seen it in Asia for sure. I've seen it in Asia. Like, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, I thought black people were the only, like, the Japanese have done a lot of damage in Asia, right? They slaughtered like 10 million Chinese. And they also, when I lived in Taiwan, they occupied Taiwan for a while. And like the older generations, they hate Japanese people. And a lot of the older generations too, they speak Japanese because they were occupied by them. But they hate Japanese people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the Taiwanese hate Chinese people, right? But to us, we're like, oh, you all like Asian to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not making those distinctions, right? Exactly. Same thing with Africans and African Americans.
Or Jamaicans.
The Jamaicans, yeah, you know what I mean?
And you're mixing it all together.
Yeah. So I think our color struck situation has a lot to do with just the circumstances in our history. I think when it gets deep like that, it's just the circumstances in our histories, right? And it's like the closer to white again, it's like this this scale. So the closer you are to white, the more privileged you are, and the lesser away from that, the closer you are. So it's like, but it is all throughout the world, and that's, I think, a system of control too,
Right.
where they kind of have to have the solution. They like one, they all hate humans, right? The globalists, they all hate human beings, but they got to make one a little bit more privileged to create resentment and create this unbalance, so they're constantly at each other's throats. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I got it
Yeah,
completely.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's like, I mean, I really think that's what it is. It's like that. It's like um what else was I gonna say? It's that, yeah, it's just that, like, that basis for like the divide and conquer. Yes, I mean, when I went to school, the first maybe 10 years of my life, I lived in, or I went to school in Koreatown, and I was like the only black girl. Most of my friends were like Asian and Latino, right? But nobody, like, I've noticed it because kids notice that, but no, like, I didn't feel like, nobody made me feel like crap because of it. You know what I mean? Like, I still felt like I fit in. My friends are always welcoming. Their families are always welcoming and warm. Like, it wasn't an issue. But when I went to junior high and I went to school with other black kids, that was like, that blew my mind. I felt like my parents more prepared me. I was more prepared and understood about racism outside my race, but I wasn't prepared to experience it from my own people. So
exactly.
that, like, kind of like traumatized me for a bit, you know? And technically I'm light skinned, so I didn't get my skin color made fun of, but my hair. And at the time, I wasn't even natural, but I would, I would have, like, I had a perm, but it was like the best perm. So I didn't know how to do my hair. You know what I mean? I have dark eyes. I didn't have pretty eyes. So, but I had a friend, my friend Kanisha. She's gorgeous, but she was dark skinned. She was always getting like the black jokes, like always,
Hmm.
always, And I don't know, like, I never, and I'm so grateful. My parents never put up with this stuff. My mom's darker than me. My dad is my complexion. And I remember I came home trying to kind of promulgate that stuff that I learned in school, and they stopped that stuff dead in their tracks. They're like, "Oh no, you're not going to be like good hair, pretty eyes, light skin, dark. You're not going to talk in terms like that, you know?"
Right, right.
But
Yeah,
it's funny though too. I see a lot of black people that are like that, that are just as judgmental. But they're always the first people to complain about racism from other people outside their race. Have you
exactly.
noticed? They're the most racist people. But
Well,
yet,
I mean,
yeah, but yet
it's kind
they'll do that, like dark skin. They'll get into the inner racism, you know.
yeah, and as much as like I talk about this double-edged sword, um, as much as I see certain people, who are completely nitpicky and yeah, dark skin and all that, I see it on the other side of the fence that there are other people that are saying, "Oh, there's nothing to see here. Nothing ever happened.
What do you mean?
The black community was not disproportionately affected with being locked up, disproportionately affected with abortion rates,
Oh yeah,
disproportionately affected with, oh, nothing to see here. Well, okay, look, we got decades upon decades upon decades, of this compounded consequence,
yeah.
so I just want to point that out in this interview, that I see both sides of that same coin, and this is kind of why I am pro Trump, because I respect that John Voight, could actually say, he's like a Hollywood like legendary figure. Like I like him a lot, but John Voight would say something like Trump is like the best president since Abraham Lincoln. Well, I mean, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. I mean, I think he had slaves, but he also freed the slaves. So there are certain things that are going on
Yeah.
behind the scenes, you know, and the needle is slowly shifting over. And I think people are being united because um, what we just pretty much pointed out in this interview is there are specific, models or systems that are used to divide and conquer. And what's going on right now is people are uniting and they're seeing past their skin color, the tone of their skin, and they're really looking at people's actions and their intentions. You know, this goes back from
You think so?
actually,
You think so? You're
yeah,
optimistic?
yeah. I'm optimistic. I'm extremely optimistic actually.
I,
You know,
I am I am too, but then sometimes I wonder
well,
if I'm delusional. And then in Austin though, it does feel like I'm in Austin. I'm in like liberal
oh,
hell
Austin.
right now.
I know. Austin is it's a wreck. Real quick, Ashley, I want to ask you because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
What's going on with these homeless camps in Austin? Like, have you experienced any of that, like in your neighborhood or just around the city? Like, you see these tents popping up,
Yeah,
people are
I
just
mean
kind of.
they're all around the city. I really don't know.
Hmm.
I mean the property values are going up. Things it's getting hard for people to afford a place to live.
Mm,
I mean, I don't know. Homeless is such an intricate situation because people are homeless for different reasons. I've been homeless before. I was
hmm.
car homeless, not street homeless, but still, you know.
It's all the same. Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm
Well,
saying that because I'm being respectful to like I've never had to sleep on the street. When I didn't have a place to live, I could at least sleep in my car, right?
you got a point.
You know what I
Yeah, you
mean?
definitely.
I still had a
Yeah.
job. I still had a job, and I was homeless. I still had a job. I was in school,
Hmm.
like and this is. But I was in the Bay Area, so that's another situation. But people are different for different reasons. Some are mentally ill, and some, you know, um, have just family members have given up because they don't know how to help them, and they kind of wreck things for other people. And there's some people that are on
Right.
drugs, and there's some people that are homeless because they can't afford a place to live, or they're running away from something. Or I mean it just it's people are it's not like one size fits all for that situation. But
Right.
I think that a lot of it has to do with the property value going up. And I really believe, and this is just something I've been observing. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about the whole thing that I was talking about, like how the whole illegal immigrant situation, how people are piling up in these. Like, I know where I live, not like my place, and I have a lot of my neighbors. Some are legal, some are illegal,
Okay.
but I know that there's certain apartments in this complex that have a bunch of people living in one complex. You know what I mean? And they're going up. They're going up. It's the property value. People, they know they can get a certain amount, so they just be like, oh, I'm gonna raise it up here. There's a lot of gentrification going on.
That's the word.
You
That's the
know,
word. Yeah, and
and it's pushing people out. And what kills me though, like I lived at this one person, and they're like, yeah, I live in a gentrified neighborhood, but I feel so bad. And I'm just like, well, don't move there. Like nobody's like
yeah,
forcing
exactly.
you to move there. Like, I'm not judging you for moving into a gentrified neighborhood. I'm judging you for like trying to like virtue signal because it's getting on my nerves. Like nobody like you know
Yeah, when you virtue signal all the time, then people, tend to focus all their attention, their energy on virtue signaling as opposed to
doing something
actually practicing
where they
virtue.
preach. Yeah, I know. I know, right? Yeah, totally, totally.
So,
Yeah,
wow,
so
I'm so sorry to hear about the homeless camps. I think
it's
there may
it's
be a
even worse in
policy.
Los Angeles. It's even worse
Yeah,
in Los Angeles. So
well, I believe there may be policy that has been passed recently in Houston. I think I saw it somewhere. I can't remember, but policy that's been passed basically saying you could camp wherever, have your homeless tent cities wherever, but you cannot have it over here, in the what do you call it, the office or whatever, like the
the business district.
yeah, and the legal offices and stuff like that. So that's kind of like it draws the same it kind of paints the same picture, with what's going on with all these like Beto supporters. They're super rich, but they're
Yeah.
not experiencing it. They don't have it right there on their front doorstep, you
And
know.
and they also profit because a lot of the legal immigrants are cutting their lawn and babysitting their kids, and they're
Oh, for
getting they're
guaranteed.
getting they're getting construction work done.
for dirt cheap,
For dirt cheap.
And Americans are losing. It's like a double lose for
Yeah.
Americans because you have these elitists that are profiting on it, and then you have a lot of these illegals that are forming entire communities and gangs, and they can live like you said, 10 people in one apartment. Well, if your rent's $900, you got 10 people. Everybody's paying like I don't know, like $75. They have all this extra money to go on vacations, all this extra money to
Well,
send back
and
to their
since
countries,
send back to
buy
their
these
country.
big trucks, buy these big houses in other countries, and they're living like kings.
And their kids are going to school for free. Their kids are getting free meals. They're getting, free health care now in some parts of the country. And we're paying for it. We're paying for it financially and physically. You know what I mean?
Apparently, everybody else's dreams in the world matters except for Americans and my son's dreams. Because we have children that we have to raise, and they're going. The future of our nation is going to affect our children when it's all said and done. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, but this is actually why I'm so optimistic, and I believe that you know, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but people are going to unite, and they're not going to unite in hatred. They're going to unite in virtue and in love when it's all said and done.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I think eventually it's going to be a good outcome, but I think I think something like bad's going to happen.
Well,
in order for that to happen, it's like, you're young. You probably don't remember this.
I'm young. Don't even start. You look young as hell, so I mean, I forget. But anyways, what?
Okay. Anyway, were you born when 9/11? Were you around? How old were you? Were you born yet?
Yeah, I remember 9/11. I think I was in elementary school, and teacher had like turned it on, and everything stopped, and we saw it happening. I was like in class. I still remember seeing that.
Okay.
It's so surreal.
So I was just out of college. But I remember, so I'm just saying that because since I was older, I probably have a different experience than you just by noticing. That happened, but I mean, honestly, there was this spirit, this sense of togetherness that Americans had that was just beautiful, And even like it was funny. I remember like I went outside and I was talking about it, and there was this homeless dude, and he was like, Did you hear? I was like, how did you know? You don't have a TV. Like, like you're homeless. How did you? He was like, no, man, like somebody came and they told me what happened, and I was like, oh my God. And people were like watching, like if it was a business street and there was like TVs like out, like it, like how sometimes you could see the TV from outside a place, like people were just standing in the street like looking at the TVs and stuff. But people actually had this interconnectedness. They were like talking to each other, and they were like really, it was like time out. It was just like people had American flags on their car and cars and stuff. I had a flag. I got my little car flag. Like it was great. I don't want anything bad to happen, but I also just see the damage that the mainstream media is doing, how they're just digging and digging and digging. And they're just manipulating things on purpose and not telling people the whole truth, and it's just driving people crazy. And then there are also people with their egos too, because they don't want to admit that they've been bamboozled, because they don't want to feel stupid. So they're going to double down and just like, right. So I don't know. I think hopefully I'll have time to prepare. But if Trump, either way, like some stuff's going down in 2020 election. I think. Huh?
Possibly. I mean, they're probably going to, certain actors are going to probably try to pull every dirty trick they possibly can.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't even know, like, who's even a contender for the Democratic Party? Like, nobody's doing it. What are they running on? Like, hate America, hate Trump? Like, what?
Yeah.
And but either way, if he loses, because we know a lot of time, we know where people's mindsets are, right? And we know that he legitimately won, and um, we know he's a legitimate one, and we know that even more people are going to vote for him this time than last time. The same
Definitely.
people are going to vote for him this time that voted for him last time. And then now we have even more people because of the walk away and all the crap that's gone on these past 4 years. I'm going to be one of those. Unless if he makes vaccines mandatory, I won't be voting for him. But that's another. But you know how I feel about that. That's very important to me. Um, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be voting for him this time, or they're just going to sit out, you know, on the left if they're still kind of like, oh, I can't vote Republican if they can't get over that, that thing. They're going to sit out. They're not going to. So I think he's guaranteed to win, but at the same time, I don't want people to get all arrogant like the left did, and, be like, oh, well, he's going to win.
Well,
But
yeah, and I agree, but you gotta look at the 2018 midterm election. I think
they stole
personally,
it. They
I'm
stole
a
it.
registered Republican right now, but I think the Republicans got way too comfortable, way too arrogant, and I
Really?
think
I
that's
think they
why.
stole it. I think they use illegal. I think
No,
these.
no, I agree. There are illegal things that were happening, like with the midterms with the Democrats. We already saw that. There's all the footage. People can research it.
They
They saw what
stole it.
happened.
They
Like
stole it.
like it took like what 2 weeks for them to supposedly count some ballots from Florida. Remember Florida? You
Yeah.
know,
But
and, and
look at that race that happened in Texas. Really? It was really that close? Really? In
yeah,
Texas?
yeah,
Really?
exactly.
I was freaking out. Can I just say?
Go ahead.
I was sitting with my friend. We were at I think Grand Lex Cafe. We were watching it. There was one TV that was like playing Fox and one TV that was playing CNN. And there were these people that were like liberals and stuff that were like watching the CNN, and we were watching the Fox News. And like Better was about to. I was freaking out. I was like, no, no.
A nightmare come true.
Yeah, I was like, no. But there's no way. There's no way it should have been that close. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that you know. And Beto had a lot of turnout at his speaking because he had like Willie Nelson and Leon Bridges to come and play.
Celebrities. I mean,
Yeah, and I worked that night. I actually lifted that evening when they had that concert there. So that was just like a nightmare. Having to talk to all these Beto supporters and stuff and just like trying to hold my tongue is the best way I could. And I did. I got into like an argument that night. But 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 they didn't really have anything to say except they were just like, oh yeah, it was so cool. Like Willie Nelson came to play. Okay, so what are his policies? I don't know, but Leon Bridges was there. There's lots of people. I'm like, okay, well, is he gonna fix anything? You know, when is he
yeah,
gonna? You know,
exactly. It's not like a big ass concert,
yeah.
or it's actual position where you have power over society, to drive certain policies that will either help America or hurt America. But see, I was not surprised that Ted Cruz won. There's a specific reason why I
But he
volunteered.
barely won. He
Yeah,
barely
yeah.
won. That's my thing. He barely won.
And that was exactly why I volunteered for the Ted Cruz campaign, because I knew the situation, like the circumstances were very, very, you know I don't even know how to say it. Like the whole deck was stacked against us. So I felt like I had to personally, play my role, along with many other patriots, to volunteer for the Ted Cruz campaign, and I'm happy that he won. I believe, based off of, after the 2018 election, I'm looking at Ted Cruz and I see, yeah, obviously, politicians are politicians. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's saying that somebody's Jesus Christ in politics right now. But I see that Ted Cruz is really putting forth an effort, to make America prosper, put America first, but also look out for us here in Texas too. While we have a lot of these Democrats that are trying to coach illegal immigrants to gaming, our laws so they can come into the country, we've gotten so far that we had Beto O'Rourke campaigning, to be president
It gets
in
my nerves
Mexico.
so much. I have to sit in traffic and look at those stickers sometimes. I'm like, ugh.
It's
Gross.
actually, I just smell desperation. The 2018 elections, they got lucky with let's just say they got lucky where as much as they cheated with what
No, well, they cheated.
the
That
yeah,
wasn't luck.
but
It
they
was called
got lucky
cheating.
cheating because what they were trying to do, in my opinion, is they were trying to make it a complete blowout, and then
Well, true,
they were trying to
also,
retaliate against Americans.
but also, I also think it was a beta test to see. They're going to try that for this election.
Hmm. Yeah,
They're going to try. And what the thing I'm frustrated about, like, where are the national ID cards? We should have had those by now. Voter ID cards. Like,
yeah.
why aren't they pushing those? We should have had that by now. We could have had that by now.
Yeah, most definitely. National
And then
ID card.
electronic machines, like we should do away with those. They're so easy to manipulate.
But see, that's the trickery. You got the tech industry, and we know most of them are far leftists. Um, but then at the same time, it's not exactly very complicated to stuff paper ballots too. We have to remember Florida. What happened in Florida during the.
But I think it's easier to hack
I,
into something and just change a few zeros here and there.
I totally agree.
Flip them over. It's easier. It's not. Nothing's impossible, but it's just easier, more convenient.
You're totally right. You're
You
totally
know what I
right.
mean? So.
There's one more thing I want to talk about real quick because
yeah, I want to start. Sorry, wrap it up.
No, it's fine. I'm enjoying this, but I know you gotta go to bed, and I gotta go to bed. But anyways, the last thing I want to talk about is the specific targeting of our president. Now, we know what's happened with Bob Mueller. We know that the FBI was weaponized against him. We know that the CIA was weaponized against President Trump. We saw John Brennan go as far as to say that he was basically a dictator and he committed treason. But what's your take on all of this? You know, any thoughts? And then I'll tell you what I think about it.
I mean, I can't get over how they're just able to make stuff up without any proof and people believe it.
The dossier, yep.
Even with the shithole comment that he made about the countries, there was no tape. There was no proof that he said that. People are just running with it, right? They're even running with the children in cages. I'm like, you're still on that? It's been proven that this law has existed way before Trump, that those pictures are of the Obama administration. That the time, yeah, the Time magazine article was a lie. The father came out and like CNN conceded about that, and they're still running with the kids in cages. So I just think that, we are winning in the sense that they just have to make stuff up. And a lot of this is when I keep going back to this, but it's a spiritual war. A lot of people's egos are bruised. Look at all the compilation of people that were like laughing at him and saying that he'll never win. And there's a huge compilation of all these arrogant jerks that were just sitting back and thought they had it in the bag. And people will die. People will die then admit they're wrong. And especially these people that are very powerful, they're not going to so it's easier for them to believe that, Russia, that people saw advertisements from Russia and that caused us to change our mind, even though that's extremely preposterous. It's easier for them to believe that than to believe that, than to tell that we don't like them, that they were wrong. That so this shows a lot about human psychology, and if you're in a position of power to give yourself confirmation bias, and you're in an echo chamber where you're constantly getting rewarded and you're not getting any consequences for the rhetoric that you're pushing, whether it's violent or not, because you're the ones that are in control, then you're just going to keep doing it until you can't anymore. And I mean, like with the whole Antifa thing. Like they're pushing that violent rhetoric, and that Antifa's going to keep doing that to people as long as they're getting away with it. Now, I think that I get mad. Like I watch Antifa videos when they just beating up people and stuff. I get extremely livid. I was pushed by one of them. I don't know if I told you that.
No, no, you didn't.
I was doing this. I was out at the Capitol. It was at a Trump rally, but I didn't have any paraphernalia on or anything, and I was just on my phone because it was weird that day too. People that were out there, we were having trouble. Like I was trying to go live and I couldn't figure it. Like my phone kept shutting off, so I'm just doing my phone. And there's a lady, with her little, cowardly face mask on, and she just like pushes me. Like I didn't say. I know I have a smart mouth. Okay, I didn't say anything. I didn't curse anybody out. I didn't throw up any hand signals. I didn't do anything, and she just like pushes me, and I pushed her back. But but they're doing that stuff because, you know, they can get away with it. Like Owen Schroyer, did you see this a year or so ago? He went to Kate Steinle's. They had a vigil, and he's trying to go, and they're just standing out there with guns, and they're like putting him in his face, and they're like not letting him get through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they're getting away with it. And the thing that's creepy to me is like, that it's a bigger issue because there are people at the top being told to stand down. Yeah. Why are the policemen being told not to do their job? Like, so it's a deeper, more sinister plan in that situation. And it's like, I know what happened with Andy No. He's suing the police department and all that stuff, and they should get sued because why are they there then? Why are they just go home? Don't even show up. You're going to let people get beaten to the point where they get brain damage and get cement shakes thrown on him. And the dude that missed me, he was walking away. He didn't even retaliate, and they're just throwing stuff at him. He's trying to get away. He's just walking away, and they're just beating him and throwing him. Like, I don't have that patience. I would have, the black girl when it came out. I would have been like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. It's like that. So as I've gotten older, I definitely have way more composure than I did when I was younger. But I was pretty hot-headed. I would get in a lot of fights and stuff. So, but I'm better now. Because fighting's not. I mean, you want that to be a last resort, of course.
Exactly, but you
can't let people walk all over you. You can't let people push you around either.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel really bad what happened with Annie No. But if I was in his shoes, I would have fought like hell. I'd have gone down swinging.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I was just like, why is he even...
Bones would break. Blood would be running.
I would have taken one of those down. Like, one of them would have got a kick in the balls or something. Got a choke out. Something. Yeah. Even if I was, like... I mean, I was going to get hit anyway. Or you get hit anyway. You might as well just take one of them down with you. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, real quick. We're about to end this. But as far as to the FBI and the CIA targeting of President Trump, I think that it actually blows away this whole illusion that all cops are good. I totally respect that, that you, there's a certain system, there are protocols that you have to follow. I understand that you have a boss that you have to answer to and you have to follow orders, but this actually just showed everybody that even law enforcement officials, can make mistakes, or, act like
they're people. They're people. People make mistakes. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I don't deify people. I don't whether a doctor, celebrity, a police officer. People are people. You're going to have good and bad. Even the immigrants, people are like thinking all the legal immigrants are, they're just people coming for a better life. Yeah, some of them are, and then some of them are cold-blooded like psychopaths that are selling drugs and that are on drugs themselves, and drugs make you do crazy things. Yeah, so and they're people.
MS-13, they are an extremely evil, brutal gang.
Well, that to me sounds like, I mean, I don't know how far you want to go. That sounds like demonic possession because they're in Satanism and stuff. They're cutting out people's hearts and stuff.
Well, when you take certain actions and you have ill intentions in your heart, it does have this transcendence, or it transforms you from a spiritual level to where you develop this I guess low level consciousness, or you call it demonic possession,
Well, I
but
think, I mean, when you're on a lower vibration, you're attracting people from the spiritual world and the material world to come to you that are at that same vibration. Whether you're high vibration, you attract a high vibration. If you're low vibration, you're going to attract lower entities, lower spirits, lower people. But I think that's why, like to get into certain gangs, you have to kill somebody. And a lot of times you have to kill an innocent person because they know that it changes your spirit, you know?
yeah, exactly. They know that when you commit these so-called like mortal sins, they know that it will change you on a spiritual level. That's why there's an
And then you're
initiation
owned.
process.
And then you're owned.
Yeah. But the last thing I want to say in regards to the FBI, the CIA,
Oh,
as
yes.
much as I appreciate these institutions, they should not be partisan political institutions. They should just focus on their job
Yeah.
descriptions. I have an uncle who used to be in the FBI. He was a damn good agent. He's retired, but I think you just need to focus on your job. Um, and even if you keep it behind closed doors within the institution, don't be afraid to hold each other accountable. You don't have to put it out here in public for everybody to know all y'all's business. We get it, your family, your institution, but I mean, y'all are making each other look really bad, with what's happened with this president. And I
Yeah.
don't want the public to lose faith in these institutions beyond atonement, so to speak. But
Well, I mean, I mean, I agree with you, but also people are people.
mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're not like it's. I think that people do have too much faith in these institutions to the point where they deify these people, these human beings, and they don't expect them to have human instincts and intentions and actions. That's I think where we've gone wrong too. Like, you know, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't really know how to correct that because I just think that there's just an element of human nature, and we're expecting, we're expecting too much out of just people that are human beings, and that's human nature.
And I kind
To
of
have your bias and stuff like that. Because I mean, if I were in the FBI, I definitely would. You know,
well,
I don't know how I would handle it. I would like to think that I I I would be fair, but who knows? I don't know what I would do in that situation. There's Jordan Peterson. He has this clip where he's talking about. It's called "History Describes You." I'm gonna send it to you. It's
okay,
short. It's like ten minutes or so. But he was
okay,
talking about like how people in history think that they usually identify with the victims, but they don't identify with the aggressors. And they think that like they would they would like to think that they identify with the victims, but you most he was like the statistical possibility would be that you would identify with the aggressor, if that makes sense, right?
yeah, yeah, I get it.
Because of
Yeah,
the circumstances. And when you're in an institution like that too, you get a lot of groupthink. It becomes kind of cultish, you know. It's hard to kind of, you kind of become like a gang. It's hard to come out. Even with like the military. Like I was talking earlier about like how we're manipulated into these wars, and there are people that can technically they can be like, okay, well I disagree, but either they'll go to jail, or they'll they don't want to let their other people down. And same thing with these other institutions too. You might not do anything where you can go to jail, but they'll find something on you if you break out of the cult. You know what I mean? So I also think
just
there's a
get
lot of fear, in those situations, of power positions where if you come out and you hold other people accountable, then you're going to pay the price in not a good way. Like what's his face, Dan Bongino? You know him?
Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so he's talked about like when he was working for Obama and stuff, and he decided, to whistle and talk about some of the stuff that was going on in that situation. Some of his own people that he worked with like came after him.
Oh,
So,
I totally get it, and I know exactly what you mean. But
but I
you know,
agree, it should be like that. But I mean, it's complicated. I'm
no,
not
of course
disagreeing with
it's
you.
always going to be complicated because that's just human nature. But my thing is I acknowledge that there is bad and there are struggles and evil in the world, but I try to focus my energy on the positive because I believe incrementally moving the needle, positivity is going to come out of it, and this is exactly what we've seen from the Trump administration and all of his accomplishments in less than 3 years. And there's always room for improvement, but I think that things are working out. Um, so I guess that's pretty much it. I want to go ahead and end this. This was very entertaining, but yeah,
Yeah.
we've been going for about an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I
See, and
want to
you were
end this.
like, you're like, oh, let me interview you for like 20 minutes. So I feel like I'll talk for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
You gotta get it, honestly, to get a good interview, you gotta go at least an hour or more. Because
mm-hmm.
that, like, you start, it builds momentum, and that's when it, like,
Takes off.
yeah, like, anyway. We
All
were
right,
just
that
getting
was
started 20 minutes in. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
all right. So, anyways, look, as I end this, I just want to say thanks everybody for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. I'll make sure to put up the information for Virstyne Henry, aka TrutherTalk, and she's already much more
Oh, wait.
successful than me. Huh?
Sorry. Can
Go
I
ahead.
just say one thing?
Go ahead.
Um, this channel was started by me and my best friend, so the channel is named Truth or Talk. So that's not my. Yeah, that's why I corrected you in the beginning because um, my friend is working on her family right now. She's homeschooling her kids. She's being an awesome mom, and one of her kids is sick, and she's working that. So she does a lot of research and stuff. And we still bounce ideas. She's just kind of like out of the. She's not the face right now. If you go to the website, you can see what she looks like. But that's why I don't really say my name enough when I do the my video. So a lot of people call me Truth or Talk, but I'd really prefer to just people call me by my name and refer to the channel as Truth or Talk, if that's okay.
Okay, so yes, much of the credit goes to her best friend as well, and
Yeah.
thank you very much, Supermom, for doing everything you do for your kids. We need to have great parents for the next generation of Americans. So,
Yeah.
but thanks so much. I'm gonna end this on a promise. I it's a simple promise. I promise you that I am going to finish reading the book that you bought me, those specific chapters we had talked about, and I want you to make me a promise, real quick. Promise
Noetic
me
science.
something. Promise me that you're going to look into noetic science
I will. I will.
because it might teach you something
No,
that.
it's not like I don't want to. Like I
No, no,
looked
I
a
know.
little bit at it, and I'm just so overwhelmed. There's so much going on. I have a lot of stuff going outside all the truthing that I'm doing.
Mhm.
So it's yeah. I just have a lot.
No. All right, but hey, thanks a lot, everybody,
All right.
for watching, and good night, and God bless y'all.
All right. Bye bye.